Now that we know Mike Tomlin will be returning for his 18th season as the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, who should he bring in as the next offensive coordinator of the Black and Gold? Welcome into Steelers Talk. I am your host, Jack Sperry, and today I've got a list of 15 of the top OC candidates that I think would be excellent fits here in the Steel City. But before we get into that, we have a special promotion today. And I have a little bet going with producer Coop today where if we can get our record for the most likes on a singular video in Steelers Talk history, I get to slap him in the face with a tortilla on a future Steelers Talk video. All right? He says there's no way that we're going to be able to do it. Coop, what are you doing over here, man?
You're not going to do it.
Yes, we are. All right, we are going to get this done. Make sure you guys click that thumbs up icon. Click that like button. I want to slap this guy in his stupid face. So do me a favor right now. Click that thumbs up icon. And with that, let's get into today's list. Starting with number 15, and he comes from the Minnesota Vikings here. Quarterbacks coach for the Vikings under head coach Kevin O'Connell. Chris O'Hara, somebody that worked with Joshua Dobbs, Kirk Cousins, Nick Mullins, and Jaron Hall this year up there in Minnesota. And he's somebody that is starting to get rave reviews around the National Football League for being a really good teacher, understanding that Sean McVay offense that we're going to be actually talking about quite a bit today. We got quite a few people in the Sean McVay tree on this list, but Chris O'Hara, somebody that's kind of an up-and-comer in this league in terms of the offensive side of the ball, and I think he'd be a good fit here in Pittsburgh. Number 14, this one, I think I'm going to get some boos in the comments section for this one, but I'm going to have Bill O'Brien, number 14, on my list. Now, of course, the New England Patriots offense was terrible this year, all right? We all know that. But they had Mac Jones, who had his worst season as a pro. They had no offensive weaponry in terms of running backs or wide receivers. You can make the argument the best receivers on that team were tight ends. All right, so obviously that offense was not good. But Bill O'Brien has been known throughout his career as somewhat of a quarterback whisperer, somebody that can develop quarterback talent. He developed very raw Deshaun Watson when he drafted him with the Houston Texans. And, of course, he's known as somebody that's a good leader and a hard-nosed coach, and I think that he would fit the culture here in Pittsburgh. He's not my number one option by any means, but I do think he's an underrated offensive play caller and offensive coordinator in general. Then we get to number 13, another former head coach in this league, and it is Frank Reich, the former head coach of the Carolina Panthers and the Indianapolis Colts. After failing and getting fired 2 straight seasons in a row, don't really see Frank getting another head coaching job, so he's going to have to take a little bit of a tier down here and go to an offensive coordinator position to reestablish himself. And he's somebody that can design a good run game. He is somebody that has brought in the RPO revolution to the National Football League. That might be something that would be interesting to see if Kenny Pickett, if that's something that he could do quite well in this offense in years to come. So Frank Reich, somebody that has a very sound offensive structure, would bring in a lot of RPOs. And if you're going to keep Kenny Pickett, I think that's something that would be pretty intriguing as an option. Now let me know down there in the comments section, what is your confidence level in Mike Tomlin picking the right offensive coordinator? Because we know his last couple hires have not been very good, all right? So what's your confidence level in him actually getting it right this time? Put it on a scale of 1 to 10 for me, 1 being no confidence at all, he's going to pick the wrong guy, to 10, I have all the confidence in the world that he's going to pick the right guy. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show, so YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. When that happens, take advantage of that time by answering today's pinned question. Number 12 on my list, the former offensive coordinator from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and former Steelers backup quarterback during the Mike Tomlin era, Byron Leftwich. Now, this is something that I think would be a good fit for the Pittsburgh Steelers for sure, because you got a guy like Byron who's been in the system. He knows the Steeler way, and he's somebody that learned his offensive philosophy from Bruce Arians, the offensive coordinator that was here the last time the Pittsburgh Steelers won a Super Bowl back in 2008. All the connections are there. I could certainly see Leftwich being the offensive coordinator, but for me personally, I do have quite a few names I would rather have than Byron Leftwich. Then we get to number 11 here, and we go to the run game coordinator / offensive line coach for the San Francisco 49ers, Chris Forster. Now, I have 3 San Francisco 49ers assistant coaches on my list. Forster, I have a little bit lower because he's had some off-field issues. Not sure if I trust him in that regard, but he's somebody that filled the position that Mike McDaniel with the San Francisco 49ers held, and we all know how well he ended up there with the Miami Dolphins. He's somebody that's worked with the offensive line. He could really get this offensive line in shape if he was hired. Certainly wouldn't hate it if Chris Forster got hired here in Pittsburgh, but I have 10 names coming up that I would rather hire as the next OC for the black and gold. But before I reveal my top 10 list here coming up, let's have a word from our sponsor at Factor Meals. Get started on your New Year's resolutions with today's sponsor, Factor. Factor's ready-to-eat meal delivery service takes the stress out of meal planning and sets you up for success in the new year. Skip the grocery stores and the prep work and all the cooking fatigue, and Lord knows we hate doing those dishes at the end of the day as well. Instead, get chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered straight to your door with over 35 meals to choose from per week, including options like keto, calorie smart, vegan and veggie, and more, plus over 55 weekly add-ons. You'll have a ton of nutritious and flavorful options to kickstart your New Year's resolutions this year. What's even better is that Factor now offers loads of snack options like breakfast, smoothies, juices, snacks, and more to keep you going no matter what's on your busy schedule. They actually sent Coop and I some awesome meals, some smoothies. Thank you so much to Factor for sending those. Those were absolutely delicious. Stress less over meal times with Factor's no prep, no mess meals to free up time otherwise spent shopping, cooking, and cleanup. What's great about Factor, you put it into the microwave for 2 minutes, you have a nice adult meal, and you don't have to cook, and you don't have to do dishes at the end of the day. Head on over to factormeals.com/SteelersChat50 and use code SteelersChat50 to get 50% off Factor Meals today. That's code SteelersChat50 at factormeals.com/SteelersChat50 to get 50% off. Number 10 on my list, I'm going to go with the quarterbacks coach there in Houston, Jared Johnson. Now, this is a name that's kind of been thrown around less often in terms of the rumor mill right now, but he's somebody that has worked directly with C.J. Stroud this season, and we all know how well C.J. Stroud has played this year. Arguably the greatest rookie season for any quarterback in league history. I think that Jared Johnson, especially working under a guy like Bobby Slowick, is somebody that can come in and be a really, really good offensive coordinator and play caller right away that can develop young quarterback talent. Then we go to Kellen Moore, somebody that's been in the head coaching rumor mill over the last several cycles. He ended up going to the Los Angeles Chargers trying to establish himself. Of course, Brandon Staley ended up getting fired. It looks like he's not going to be getting the job as the head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers, so he's a free agent, and he's somebody that does have a very nice offensive structure that I like. I like some of the concepts that he does. I like the fact that he's done a lot of adjustments mid-game. I mean, I think that's a real good sign of a good offensive mind. Still very young, a former quarterback in this league. He's one of the top offensive names available right now in terms of OC candidates, and I would certainly be happy if the Steelers ended up hiring him. Now, this one is a little bit weird, I will admit it. All right, and there's only one quarterback that I want the Steelers to get if they hire Greg Roman, the former Baltimore Ravens offensive coordinator. Because Greg, he does have a little bit of an issue scheming up pass concepts, especially against cover zero blitz packages. But he is arguably the best run game coordinator in the National Football League, and he's definitely the best quarterback run game designer in the National Football League. So the only way that you go out and get Greg Roman, in my opinion, is if you're planning on trading your first-round pick to go get Justin Fields. And knowing Mike Tomlin, that could absolutely be a possibility for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I had to put Greg Roman on this list. You put Justin Fields, a generational kind of talent in terms of rushing the football at the quarterback position, with a guy like Greg Roman, who is the offensive coordinator for some of the best rushing quarterbacks in the league history. Colin Kaepernick, Lamar Jackson, you name it, he's done it. I think this would be absolutely fantastic pairing, and I think that Justin Fields would be absolutely lethal in a Greg Roman-designed run game here in Pittsburgh. Then we get to number 7 here, and this is another one that a lot of people, I think, is getting slept on a little bit, and I might actually have him a little bit low on my list. The Kentucky Wildcats offensive coordinator, Liam Cohen. And this is one of those Sean McVay guys. You look at the Sean McVay tree, that track record that they have, Zach Taylor, Matt LaFleur, Kevin O'Connell. Like, these guys just seem to grow on trees, right? And they have success in the National Football League. I mean, when was the last time a Sean McVay guy ended up not succeeding in this league as an offensive play caller? You just don't see many of them, right? So I really do think that the reasoning for this is because Sean McVay's offensive structure is so sound, and these are some of the staples of a Sean McVay offense. It's very 11 personnel heavy, and what that means is 3 wide receivers on the field at a time. They really pride themselves on having 3 receivers on the field and having that slot receiver as one hell of a run blocker. And in terms of the run scheme, they like to run outside zone more than anything else. It's tons of wide zone. If you know anything about Sean McVay, he loves that outside zone run concept. It's very hard to stop if you run it effectively. Also, he likes to do hard play action bootlegs coming off of that outside zone, misdirection, all these different things that are staples of the West Coast offense. And then speaking of the West Coast offense, you're going to see a lot of flood concepts in the passing game. That means there's 3 different levels to beat the zone coverages that you see in the National Football League today. And then backside digs are usually implemented in this offense based on those flood concepts. So if the defense takes away the flood, usually that means the backside dig on the other side of the formation is going to be open. So you need a quarterback that's going to be able to get to 1 to 2 to 3 on the concept side, get all the way across the field to the backside dig, and hit that guy over the middle of the field. It really is an excellent offense. It's a quarterback-friendly offense, and that's why all these coaches from the Sean McVay tree seem to have success. And I think Liam Cohen, former offensive coordinator for the Rams and the Kentucky Wildcats, is an excellent candidate here. Then we get to number 6, and another guy here in the Sean McVay tree, Zach Robinson. Lots of these guys, right? Like Kevin O'Connell, Matt LaFleur, all these guys that had success as head coaches and offensive coordinators in this league, they were former quarterbacks coaches under Sean McVay, and Zach Robinson is the next guy in that line there. I definitely would be happy if the Steelers ended up getting somebody from this tree moving forward. So when the Steelers hire their new offensive coordinator, we're going to have you guys covered with a video. Hell, we're probably even going to go live on the show, all right, on a Steelers Talk Live show, just to let you guys know what happened. So make sure you guys click that subscribe button every single time the Steelers make a move this offseason. When they hire their new OC, if they trade for Justin Fields, when they sign players in free agency, we're going to have you covered with breaking news coverage. So if you need your breaking news from somewhere here on YouTube, 100% free, this is the place for you. Click that subscribe button for me right now. Number 5 on my list. Now we shift to more of the Shanahan-style candidates here that I really like. Quarterbacks coach Brian Greasy and pass game coordinator Clint Kubiak, back-to-back 5 and number 4 here. And I'd be perfectly happy with either of these gentlemen. Both of these guys obviously need to know the offense forwards, backwards, and sideways. Clint Kubiak is a former offensive play caller in this league. Of course, he's got the connections with his dad, Gary Kubiak, all-time great NFL head coach in this league. So that's why I have him just above Brian Greasy. But we also have Kyle Shanahan. When it comes to Kyle Shanahan and what he likes to do on offense, it's more under center. It's more play action heavy, all these different things. Lots of 21 personnel. So that's one of the things that differentiates a Kyle Shanahan offense from a Sean McVay offense, where they like to have a fullback in there. Look at Kyle Juszczyk. Look at Alex Ingold with the Miami Dolphins and Mike McDaniel's system. They like to have 2 running backs on the field as opposed to the 11 personnel of a Sean McVay offense. Also, they run multiple schemes in the run game. If you know anything about Kyle Shanahan, this guy is a master at designing run games for his offense, right? He does outside zone a lot. He'll do trap. He'll do pin and pull a lot. He'll do a lot of things to keep defenses off balance. And as a defense, you have to be ready for literally everything when you play the San Francisco 49ers, which is why it's so tough to go up against. They also do some really great stuff in the play action game. They like to have athletic tight ends so they can do stuff with them in the receiving game. And then they got the deep crossers, which is another thing that they're known for, something that really does a great job. You need to have a quarterback that can target the intermediate levels of the field, and that's one of the reasons why Brock Purdy has been so damn good in this offense, is because he is so freaking good at layering that football in the intermediate parts of the football field. So this is definitely a great offense. And then another person that comes from this tree as well is Darrell Bevell, the quarterbacks coach for the Miami Dolphins. He's somebody that is a Super Bowl winning offensive play caller with the Seattle Seahawks. His offense started to get a little dated when he went to Jacksonville and then Detroit. So he left, went to Shanahan University there in Miami under Mike McDaniel, and now he's had to learn that offense forwards, backwards, and sideways. I think he'd be an excellent candidate as well. And then we get back to a Sean McVay guy here in Shane Waldron at number 2, somebody that has made Geno Smith a bona fide franchise quarterback when his career was over. If anybody can save Kenny Pickett's career, I think Shane Waldron could be the guy for the job. He would be an excellent candidate bringing in that Sean McVay offense. And then number 1 on my list here, I'm going to go with Eric Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator or former offensive coordinator for the Washington Commanders. It does not look like Washington will be bringing back EB. I don't think he's going to want to go back to Kansas City because, he left Kansas City for a reason, right? He's trying to establish himself as a legitimate head coaching candidate in the National Football League. So he has to go somewhere other than Kansas City, right? So the way I'm looking at this here is that he's good friends with Mike Tomlin, all right? They've been friends for years. They share the same coaching philosophy where he's a hard-nosed coach. He's not afraid to get in players' faces and let them know when they're doing stuff wrong, which is exactly the type of accountability we need on that offensive side of the ball here in Pittsburgh. And he brings a modern offense that this team really, really needs. So, of course, he runs an Andy Reid style of offense, and he runs a modern pro spread style of offense. So you're going to see lots of spread, lots of receivers on the field, lots of shotgun, which of course means lots of inside zone in the run game. It's really hard to run much of anything else other than inside zone from shotgun. So it's not going to be a very multiple run scheme, but hey, if you got the horses to run inside zone, you might as well run it from shotgun. Another thing that Eric Bieniemy and Andy Reid have done over the last 2 seasons to kind of mess with the man match rules on defense here in the National Football League is 4-by-1 formations. Usually the match rules only go up to 3-2 formations, right? So if you can really mess with the numbers by going to 4-1 formations. That's something that Eric Bieniemy did back in Kansas City during Patrick Mahomes' second MVP season last year, and then in Washington again this year. And then another staple of Kansas City's offense under Andy Reid is that they like to do the short passing game. They like to get players the ball in space, close to the line of scrimmage, and then they say, you go get that yard after the catch, all right? You go make the big plays. So it's really important to have speedy receivers on the field in this offense, and George Pickens and Deontay Johnson, man, they know how to run with the football when they're open in space. So I think that this offense is perfect for this team. I think he'd be awesome, and I think that he is the right man for the job here in Pittsburgh. Now let's go over some honorable mentions, some names that you might have expected to see on today's show, but you didn't. Ken Dorsey. I mean, Joe Brady took over as OC of the Buffalo Bills, and they've won, and all they've done is win football games. I think they've won like 7 out of 8 with him as offensive coordinator. I don't think Ken Dorsey can design a run game. Don't really think that he's the right guy. Josh McDaniels, he's going to go wherever Bill Belichick goes. He's going to be his OC. Deuce Staley, don't think he's ready to be a true offensive play caller in this league. Mark Whipple, Kenny Pickett's former offensive coordinator in Pitt, has been thrown around. Really don't think that's going to happen. He kind of runs more of a college-style offense. And then Cliff Kingsbury, no way I can see Coach Bro coaching for a guy like Mike Tomlin. Really don't think that's going to happen either. So let me know down there in the comment section, who is your guy? Who should the Steelers hire as their next offensive coordinator? Do you agree with me and want to go get Eric Bieniemy? Do you want to go get somebody from the Shanahan tree, McVay tree? Let me know down there in the comment section, who is your pick to be the next OC of the Black and Gold. That'll be it for today's show, guys. Really do appreciate your support. Make sure you go give me a follow on X/Twitter at Jack_Sperry for a shout out on a future Steelers Talk video. So I want to give a shout out to No F's Given, Lourdes Santos, I hope I'm saying that right, Roy Fazio, Oscar Gonzalez, and Chuck Lewis. Thank you so much for all of your support. To get your shout out, make sure you go give me a follow at Jack_Sperry. And that's going to be it for today's show. Make sure you guys click that subscribe button for more Steelers offseason coverage all throughout these next couple of months. It's going to be super busy, super exciting. I think that the brighter days are on the horizon here in Pittsburgh, and I cannot wait to see what Omar Khan is going to be able to do. So make sure you guys click that subscribe button right now. And until next time, here we go, Steelers.